The tip speeds. If you were to race a tip of a wind turbine, you might want a car Audi R8, Bugatti, Chevy Corvette, or even one of those cool Dodge Challenger Hellcats. Tip speeds are over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, these things are crazy. Like wind turbines, just every time I drive by them, it's like, wow. Huge blade swinging through the air.
You will get a speeding ticket if you try to race this tip. All right, welcome to Waiver Watch episode 14th on February 16th, 2020. We are 107 Waivers, and each week we bring to you some of the most interesting waivers approved by the FAA. And oh boy, was it a busy one. We've got a variety on the plate today. We've got some good stuff to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Jakey, hit us off. Boom.
Oh, yeah. So weekly waiver totals. This was a good week, like Brent said. So 56 waivers approved. That's really good. I'm not sure if that's a record, but that's really good.
That's more cards in a deck.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have 49 daylight operations waivers. One for visual line of sight, 10731. This one's kind of interesting. We're going to hit on it later. 4 for operations over human beings. They're all para zero, as usual. 1 for high altitude. That's 10751 Bravo. And 1 for 10735. That's operation of multiple small UAS. Also really cool, which we're going to hit on. So just a crazy good week. A lot of variety, a lot of waivers. It's awesome.
So speaking of the 10735, Jakey, why don't you just jump right into that one right away?
Yeah. So this one went to Eileen Lockhart and Xcel Energy this week. So they were issued a 10735 operation of multiple small UAS. So that's kind of like the swarming or simultaneous ops from one pilot kind of concept. We're huge fans of these. It's just an awesome use of the technology. You can be more efficient, less costly, get the humans kind of out of the equation. And it's just a unique thing about drones. When nobody's on there, you can just fly swarms of them, so to speak.
It's
right?
Scalability, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. So big fans of these. So before we get into what this is for, Brent, why don't you give us some wind turbine facts, some fun facts?
Some fun stats. Did you know? Did you know that wind turbines can be up to 300 feet tall? The blades can be up to 131 feet.
Very long.
Very long. And the tip speeds. If you were to race a tip of a wind turbine, you might want a car such as a Audi R8, a Bugatti, a souped up Chevy Corvette, or even one of those cool Dodge Challenger Hellcats, because tip speeds are over 200 miles an hour. You will get a speeding ticket if you try to race this tip.
Yeah, these things are crazy. Like wind turbines, just every time I drive by them, it's like, wow. There's this huge blade swinging through the air. It's wild.
It's kind of hard to imagine that tip is going 200 miles an hour, right?
Yeah. Okay, so why the heck are we talking about wind turbines? Well, that's what this waiver is for, we suspect. So the last provision, Xcel Energy was granted permission to fly in 4 wind turbines that are listed, wind turbine farms, a couple in North Dakota and one in Texas. And so this is a really cool use case. I mean, wind turbines are kind of grouped together, so you can just imagine somebody kind of standing in a place where they can see a couple visual line of sight. This is not a BVLOS waiver, it's just visual line of sight. But and then you kind of launch out a couple aircraft. They got approval up to 3. So launch 3 aircraft at once, and they kind of each go to a different turbine, do the inspection, come back. It's a really efficient use, right?
Right. You said in provision 17 there are 4 locations. Those are the ones that you listed off earlier. So 2 states, 4 locations.
Exactly. And, I think this is an interesting use case just with the environment too. So, when you go to ask for BVLOS, the questions are always, what about the crop dusters and the helicopters and such? But if you think about wind turbine farms, like that's not an area that a crop duster is probably going to be like weaving through, right? So it's actually a low air risk. So
Right. Like we were talking earlier, you can see sometimes wind turbine farms are actually on sectional charts. They do have their red flashing lights. So and there's usually more than just one, at least with these type of wind farms that they're going to be going after with multiple UAS, So super easy to see. Again, probably, wind turbine versus crop duster. I'd say the wind turbine's going to win 99% of the time. Unless that crop duster knife edge is right between the blades,
Yeah, even the turbulence in those farms, I think is enough to keep the man guys away. So yeah, just an awesome waiver, kind of a really interesting use case, and looking forward to seeing more of that. So
beautiful transition. I don't even know if you meant to do this, Jakey, but let's talk about the Scout system, which is the 10731. Has something to do with crop dusters, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
So up next, we have a 10731. This is granted to American Robotics, and they have a system that is a drone in the box. And what this 10731 is visual line of sight of aircraft. So it's not necessarily BVLOS, because Provision 9 still requires this waiver to have the pick must be physically located within the operating area and deconflicting the airspace. So this pick has to see where the airspace is that this drone is flying in. Maybe necessarily they might not be able to see the drone the entire time, but they have a good situational awareness of that airspace to keep the risk low.
Yeah, the drone in a box concept is interesting, right? I mean, people want to just put these things out there and just, they do the job. They go fly, they get data. And so this one, to me, maybe is people are starting to try things. And what's interesting is Provision 10, this detect system, right? It's like, what is that? Is this some sort of see and avoid system that they're testing out, but they don't, they didn't quite get BVLOS because the pilot has to stand there, but maybe they're just doing some testing on something. It's so kind of interesting.
Yeah, they have, like some detect and avoid systems. You have the Sarah system, which is audio detection of aircraft. Then you have like Iris, which is using cameras to detect aircraft. And then also the radar options out there. But so yeah, what do they have their own proprietary detection system? And they're just trying to validate, right? Because really, it seems as if the pilot is taking on all of the responsibility to deconflict this airspace, and then maybe they're capturing data with this new system so that when they go to ask for like a revision to this waiver, they can get a little bit more area, maybe fly it a little bit farther. So this will be interesting to see where this one pans out. We'll keep an eye out for American Robotics as they progress with their operations.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's just we talked about a mystery waiver, 2 weeks ago, mystery BVLOS waiver that was Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and this one kind of is a mystery as well, because normally they're 10731 and 33, but this one is just 31. But it also still requires the pilot to stand there. So like Brent said, we'll keep an eye on this one. It's an interesting use case. Yeah,
and this just kind of popped in my head. These first two waivers that we've just started reviewing, it almost seems like maybe the year 2020 is going to be that of like automation and scalability. Like, how do you really take drones to the next level to start really getting that return on investment? And these are the types of things with these 10735 waivers, 10731s, drone in a box. They're trying to increase efficiencies and drive down costs. So maybe 2020 is going to be a pretty big year. People are going to start.
Yeah, it's almost like the American Robotics guys. They also need a 10735 because you can just put these boxes out all over and have one pilot monitoring, and then
they definitely
Xcel Energy maybe needs the BVLOS part so they don't have to. It's like, I agree. Like these are actually very similar waivers, maybe or use cases at the end of the day. Kind of this automated concept. So,
right.
Yeah. Interesting point.
Yeah. Aircraft. So. Yeah. So. Something amiss with night waivers, right? Let's talk about the RFIs that we've been getting. These super interesting.
Yeah, so our night waiver program, we're happy. We've had this 100% success rate, which is awesome, and we always submit kind of these standardized documents that are tailored a little bit to the customer. But all of a sudden lately, the last month or two, we've gotten these RFIs, and it's like this is the same information we've been providing for months for our customers, had a lot of approvals.
Right.
But it's like, what's going on, right? Is there maybe like some new employees that are being extra cautious and asking questions? Maybe the bar is changing a little bit for what information you need to provide. It's like, we're not sure yet, right? But
yeah. So, I mean, And so, yeah, this is something nice about when you work with us with 107 waivers. You know, we are there so that when you get these RFIs, shoot them to us. We'll help you out. We'll describe what's going on here. We'll make sure you don't miss something. And it's kind of keeping us on our toes, right? Like, how do we start answering these questions? How do we make our documents more robust? RFIs are actually a good thing for us because we know how to make things, you know, more concrete when we're helping you guys out. So the more questions, all the
RFIs that we have received our customers have received, we've essentially gotten them approved still. So
100% success rate even after RFIs.
Yes.
And it's sometimes it's even trivial, right? Like, oh, you spelt your name wrong, or your account name isn't the same as what's in the waiver. So there's a lot of like trivial things that can get you burned too, which is just not like content based. And it's just like, you know, so it's interesting. We've seen a lot of RFIs, no doubt.
Yeah, the naming ones, actually, we noticed that the FAA has updated their RFI now. So when you do get an RFI, you get this letter explaining like what they need to hear from you or get more information. But they changed the template. So now there's a section that says, if you may put your company name wrong, here's how to fix it, because it must be just this super common thing that's happening. So.
And it's kind of funny that probably about 2 months ago, we started adding some new instructions because we're like, this is a constant thing that we're getting. So maybe we're a little bit farther ahead too, because we're really digging.
The FAA's watching, right?
Oh, they're taking some notes from us, you know. Not a bad thing.
No, it's good. I mean, it's all part of that continual process, right? These waivers are not static. We've said that over and over and over again. It changes, and we're always on our toes with the FAA. So that's fun.
And that's even why Waiver Watch exists, is so that we are staying fresh on the most like current like state of affairs with waivers. You know, our pulse is so good on these waivers that, you know, that's what makes it so good when you work with us, is that we just have that, you know, we have that experience all around, from different submissions to what are people asking, even questions from our clients. You know, like there's just a lot of things that come out of this. So
yeah. Very interesting. So we'll keep an eye on these RFIs, keep updating our docs, and making sure we get approvals. So
missing in action. Give us some updates on the Oklahoma mystery waiver, right? And this isn't Eastern Colorado, Western mystery.
No. Yeah. So I mean, 2 weeks ago, our episode was about this mystery BVLOS waiver that it's still missing. There's still no waiver on there, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But you can go back and read our previous episode about it. And then we also had our under review. So 2 episodes again, we talked about what under review means. We have some that are under review, and they're still under review. So FAA, if you're watching,
we're getting antsy, right? What'll be how many weeks coming up?
One of them is like 13 business days. So quite a while, but. But anyways, whatever, we'll keep being patient, but
it hasn't been denied yet, so that means there's something there's something worth reading in it, because they haven't denied it, right? So otherwise
hopefully it didn't get fall off the stack of papers in the queue and end up on the floor or something.
It went into recycling on accident, right?
So no real updates on those, other than they're still missing and still under review. So
we're certainly excited that when our waivers do come out of review, we're going to be pumped. We'll definitely talk about those. So yeah.
All right. I think that's a wrap.
That was a packed week. We had a lot of stuff, and we covered that pretty quickly. I think this is going to be a rapid fire episode here. So again, recap, right? 56 waivers approved this week. Amazing week. Good start to 2020. We're in the second month, but hopefully we can keep this momentum going and bump those numbers up.
Oh yeah.
So
and with that, we'll catch you guys next week's episode. So fly safe.
Take care.